So in this video, we are going to introduce the concept of bond order with respect to resonance structures. And if you remember from the previous video, we said resonance structures are those Lewis dot structures that can be written that are equivalent for the same molecule. And the example we gave in the previous video was sulfur dioxide. Using those rules for Lewis dot structures, we were able to write two possible Lewis dot structures. The presence of resonance structures can affect something called the bond order in a molecule. And if you remember in an earlier video, we very briefly introduced this concept of bond order with respect to the number of bonds on an atom, either single, double, or triple. If you remember those bonds that are triple bonds, so a higher bond order, there's more energy and the bond length is shorter. Well, now we can use that concept of bond order with resonance structures to say something about the length or the character of that bond. And so when you have resonance structures, to determine the bond order of those species, you have to take into account the total number of bonding pairs or bonding electrons and locations. So another way to say that, another way to calculate that is from this equation: total number of bonding pairs divided by the total number of possible locations. So in this example, we have sulfur dioxide, and we want to do the bond order, say something about the character of each SO bond. So we look to see first how many total bonding pairs we have on the central atom. And in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, because I have a single and a double bond. So in my numerator, I'll have 3. In the denominator, a total number of SO bond locations. Well, I have 1 SO bond, 2 SO bonds. So my bond order is 3 divided by 2, or 1.5. So what exactly does that mean to have a bond order that's not a whole number like 1, 2, or 3 like you would for a single, double, or triple bond? What that means is that the bond that is in this resonance structure, the SO bond, has partial single bond activity or character and partial double bond character. So you should know this equation for bond order. And also know that when calculating bond order, you don't take lone pairs into account, you only take into account bonding pairs and total of SO bond and total number of bond locations. So for example, if I was to look at the resonance structures for CO3, carbonate anion, these are the 3 resonance structures that we could draw based upon the places where I can share electrons to form a double bond. So according to these resonance structures that you see, you would expect that in CO3 -2 that 2 bonds would have single bond character and 1 bond would have double bond character or properties. Experimentally, what is determined is that all of the CO bonds in carbonate anion, all of their bond lengths are the same, and the energy associated with that bond is the same. The only way that can be really explained is through this bond order calculation, which basically states that what is the true resonance structure for this molecule? It's actually a hybrid, or all 3 of these together, because those electrons are moving. At some point, there's a double bond on one oxygen. On some point, there's a double bond on the other oxygen. So the ion that exists is actually a hybrid, a resonance hybrid of all 3 structures. And if we calculated the bond order for the CO bonds in this molecule using the formula in the previous slide, well, we'd see number of bonding pairs, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 bonding pairs. with a total of 3 possible locations. So my bond order for the CO bonds in this molecule is 1.33. And that makes sense that that bond would have partial single and partial double bond character. So that is the concept of bond order as it deals with resonance structures. That's concept of bond order being able to explain some of the experimental evidence that is seen for molecules that have more than one resonance structure. In the next video, we'll talk about how to use the concept of formal charge to determine if, out of a series of resonance structures that can be drawn, if one structure is better than another.